Hello and welcome. You are watching News 9 Live. I'm Krishna Kumar, and at this hour on News 9 Live, we are focusing on a very important controversy. Neet, or National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test, meant for undergraduate courses for those aspiring to become doctors, for those aspiring to become MBBS. The Neet 2024 has thrown up a major controversy, and over the next hour or so, we'll be breaking down that controversy. So what has happened this time around in Neet 2024? Can you believe it? More than 67 of those who took the exam have got the perfect score. 100 on 100 or 720, which is the maximum score possible. Guess how many got it last time around in Neet 2023? Just 2, but this time around 67. So what has gone wrong over here this time around? And not just that, there are students who are getting improbable scores, which is not possible to get that because each question has 4 marks when you get it right, and when you get it wrong, it's -1. So you can either get 720 or 715, even if you get one question wrong. But guess how many some students have got? 718, 719. How was this made possible? And not just that, this time around, grace marks were given for any kind of wastage of time at the examination center. How was this grace marks decided? We are asking those questions right here on News 9. We're asking on behalf of all those students who are sitting there anxiously wondering what is their future going to be, those who have taken the NEET exam for the year 2024. And not just that, all the toppers that we're talking about, 67 of them, some of them come from the same examination center. 6 of them come from one examination center in Faridabad, in Haryana. What exactly has gone wrong with NEET 2024? We'll find that out, and to do that, to begin with, I have my colleague Karthik Malhotra joining me here in the studio. Karthik, talk to us, break this down. There are 4 or 5 glaring flaws when it comes to the results that have been announced. And let me tell you, before going to Karthik, the results have been announced a good 10 days earlier than what was meant to be. Bear in mind, June 14th is when the results were supposed to come out, but they came out 10 days earlier. Why the hurry in announcing the results for NEET 2024? And when they came out, they threw up all these big surprises. Karthik, let's break this down for the audience in terms of what has gone wrong with NEET 2024.
A lot has gone wrong, Krishna, and I think if you ask me, it's a can of worms. The can has just popped open and the worms are just beginning to crawl out. You mentioned the figure of 67 students who have got 100 on 100 or 720 on 720. How did these 67 students get that 720? Very interestingly, all of them have got 720 upon 720 only thanks to grace marks. And these grace marks are for wrong question in 44 cases, and in the balance 23 cases was on the late start of the examination in the Faridabad center reportedly. This makes up the number of 67 students who've actually got 100 on 100. So this is one of the many challenges that this particular NEET 2024 is faced with in this moment.
Before you go any further, let's also put that into perspective, that 67 number. Bear in mind, last time around the cutoff for those who qualified was 57 up until rank 57, when there were exactly 2 who scored the perfect score of 720. This time around, 67 people have already scored 720, which means that even if you scored all of those marks, 100% marks, there's a very good chance that you will not qualify, isn't it, Karthik?
Absolutely, and that is where the percentile system comes into play, Krishna. And the percentile system this time around has given the score of 99.99999 to 8 students. So what initial reports are telling us is that there is a tiebreaker which is supposed to be in place when similar scores are being conquered and achieved by multiple students. And it seems like this time another can which is crawling out is the fact that perhaps the tiebreaker was not used as well.
Tiebreaker not usable, and of course, Karthik, all that makes it all the more suspicious when you have so many in consecutive serial numbers. These toppers, as it turns out, they all come from one center. 6 of them coming from one center in Haryana, and 6 of them bunched together in another center.
So I think the roll numbers which were then laid out on social media for everybody to see and view makes the series absolutely clear. The initial 6 or 7 numbers belong to the same series, and only the last 3 numbers in that roll number change, which all affirms that was the question paper leaked at the center? Was extra time given at the center? Was invigilation lax at the center? Was cheating allowed at the center? I think these are very, very glaring errors in the way the examination has been conducted and in the way the results have been declared. You were talking about results. This time around, there's an anomaly in the result process as well. Number one, results were announced, like you mentioned, 10 days before they were due. In addition to that, they were announced on election day, God knows why, and the answer key was made available 6 hours prior to the announcement of the results. Usually, there's a good 10-day window between the answer key being released and the final scores being announced. This time, it was all done in a matter of 6 hours. What was the hurry? What was the need to do it on election day? And then those mysterious scores of 718, 719. You know, I've done a little bit of calculation. We can arrive at it whenever you want, Krishna, on this normalization process and how that kicks in and why it is technically possible for people to get even 718, 719, and those who have been given these grace marks even by virtue of attempting fewer questions but getting the same number of wrong answers as somebody who's attempted the entire 180 questions can end up getting the same score. How's that possible? I'll try and break that down for you today.
All right, we'll do that as well. But we have some special guests joining us to help us understand what exactly has gone wrong and how they have gone wrong. We have Advocate Anubha Srivastav Sahai, educationalist and President, India-wide Parent Association, joining us. Thank you so much for being with us, ma'am. We also have Sushma Yadav, PRO, Vice Chancellor, Central University of Haryana, and former member, University Grants Commission, also joining us. And we also have Dr. Dhruv Chauhan, National Coordinator of the Indian Medical Association, IMA, Junior Doctors Network, also joining us. Let me begin this by going across to Advocate Anubha Srivastava Sahai, educationalist and President, India-wide Parent Association. This must be a nightmare of a time, both for the students who took the NEET 2024 exams and the parents.
Yes, absolutely, and it's very shocking. And students are continuously sending messages on. They're sending me messages on WhatsApp, on Twitter, and they all are so worried and stressed. Even parents are very stressed because this has happened for the first time in our country after this NEET was introduced. The purpose for introducing NEET, a pan-India exam, one India, one nation, one exam, was to bring more transparency. But what we are seeing since past few years that there is no transparency being maintained. Every year we are getting news that somewhere paper was leaked. But this time, apart from paper leak, we are also seeing how the manipulation is happening in terms of results declaration. So this is something very serious. We should definitely raise voice, and NTA should take cognizance. Education Ministry, though they are not in power right now, but as soon as they take the charge, I think Education Ministry, even child rights should take cognizance. NCPCR can take cognizance of this matter, and because the children, they are young, they are 18-year-old, some are committing even suicide. Yesterday we got to know in Kota, a girl committed suicide. So this is a very serious matter, and this must be investigated. Government must step in, all the education ministry, all the stakeholders, NTA, they must step in and take cognizance and conduct proper inquiry and again declare results.
You know, that is the state of the National Testing Agency, Krishna. Sorry to butt in, but the
The
problem is
NTA.
that the NTA, right, under the Ministry of Education. The problem is the phone numbers given on the website of NTA do not get answered, they get diverted, and there is no way to get in touch with NTA. When we were researching for this story and when we decided to do this show today, I would have made at least 30 calls to exactly 2 numbers which are given on the NTA website, and those 2 numbers are bogus numbers, pretty much like the bogus results that we are seeing coming out of the NTA.
Right. We also have Sushma Yadav, PRO, Vice Chancellor, Central University of Haryana, and a former member of University Grants Commission, also with us. Ma'am, talk to us. What exactly is going wrong with the NEET exam in this country this time around? There is no denying the fact that these results are unprecedented.
Well, Mr. Krishna, my association with UGC and my association with NTA, not exactly with NEET because that has not been my subject, but with NTA, has been really, really very positive.
Okay.
I had seen NTA working very, very carefully, very, very cautiously, very transparently, and they used to make presentations about how they chose the centers, how they kept all the things in order, how they ensured that the centers run well, how they ensured that everything goes smoothly for the candidates, etc. I'm really shocked to first read this and now hear you all that this has happened during this NEET examination, which really is shocking for me as well, because it's not just for nothing or it's not mere coincidence that so many students get the same numbers or the same marks and at the same centers. surely there's something wrong, and I'm very sure that the ministry as well as the NTA would get inquiry set into it. I would look at something
So,
deeper. I'm really, of course, feeling very, very sad to hear what you both are telling,
okay.
that this is how it has happened. This has happened at such places. I think there's something very wrong with our society also. This mad run for marks, this mad run for success
Right.
ultimately makes every system work in a way which is not really ethical and which is not really what we mean it to be.
Right.
So, NEET was one chance given to the youth of this country, that you won't run around and you won't have to rush to this university, this
Fair
institution, this
enough,
city,
fair
that
enough.
city.
Professor Sushma Yadav, we are running a
Right?
live poll. We are
Yes,
running a live poll here on News 9 Live. And look at the results. If we can
I
have those results
understand.
up on screen. 96% of those who have voted for the News 9 Live poll, 96%, when the question is asked, is NEET 2024 a scam? They've said, yes, it's a scam. 96% of them. For all those watching this broadcast, continue to express your views, continue to answer the poll question. 96% are calling NEET 2024 a scam. We also have Dr. Dhruv Chauhan, National Coordinator, IMA Junior Doctors Network, also with us on the broadcast. Dr. Dhruv Chauhan, talk to us.
But
What has been going wrong with NEET? I believe and I understand from what I've spoken to, the people I've spoken to, this is not the first time that the NEET exams are coming under a question. This time around, the results are glaringly flawed that you can't, it's very difficult to defend them.
Yeah, actually, firstly, I would like to thank you for for raising such an important issue, which around 23 lakh plus students who need aspirants who want to do something for the country were waiting for. Now, I just tell you one thing. Okay, when I raised this issue of when on 4th of June, this results of NEET UG came, we raised this issue and found out two irregularities. The first irregularity was the sequence of the students who got similar marks. The second was the 67 candidates this year were getting 720 out of 720. It was already suspicious of it. And then we got to know, okay, that 718 and 719 marks, which was creating a suspicion again. We raised that issue also. And upon raising that issue, the NTA replied to us on Twitter. They said that it is based upon the court order dated 80, this is something around 13 or 18 June. I tell you what date it was. It was
2018. You're
13 June
talking about the
2000.
2018.
Yeah,
Dhruv,
yeah,
that
13 June
2018.
2018.
Dhruv, that 2018 order was specifically for the CLAT, the Common Law Admission Test exam.
Yeah,
Is it?
exactly.
Yeah. So why is that
They
applicable even
stated,
for NEET? Is there a problem
yeah.
with the normalization formula? Was it calibrated specifically for the law exams, and that has just been appropriated for NEET as well?
I tell you how this order was incompletely and irregularly followed by NTA. Firstly, if you open the statement, the writ petition, on the ninth page, if you go, there is a line that clearly says that you have to, if you are giving normalization of marks, you also have to add additional seats so that if two people scored similar marks, one with grace marking and one without grace marking, they could be given additional seats and students can get the equality of marks and seats. But this order was incompletely followed. If NTA is saying that they have done normalization of marks by this order, they are not following this order completely. And also, they did not, publicly told anyone, or neither they posted it on their website, neither clarified anyone before it. And suppose if this order was followed, for how many students was it followed? It was only followed for those students who, who fought in the court. What about the rest? Lakhs of students.
No, but
They
Dhruv,
got
this
no
time
idea. They
around,
got
Dhruv, this time around, the issue really is that all 67 students who've got 720 out of 720 have got that 720 only through grace marks. Every one of them has got 720 out of 720 only through grace marks. 44 students have been given grace marks because of an incorrect question apparently, and 23 because of loss of time. How do you explain that?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm telling you. Okay, comparative to last year's result, when there were only two candidates scoring 720 by 20, 720. This year, this ratio is 67. This is not possible, and it has never happened in the history of time in NEET UG examination that such a high peak of number of students are scoring same marks. Now, the main reason why it created suspicion was, similar sequence of sitting roll numbers. If you see, there are 6 to 8 students in the similar sequence who were getting 720 or 720. Now, it is acceptable if different centers get it, but a similar sequence of similar center, as it was already mentioned by you, it happened in the Faridabad center. This is what actually raises the suspicion. And not only this, a lot of related to the NEET UG scam or NEET UG leak. Already in Patna, there were FIRs filed. In Delhi and in many other states, FIRs were filed. Why these FIRs were filed? There were proofs regarding that, and the people were arrested. If people were arrested, there were proofs regarding it. There are literally, the Telegram channels that are proving that whatever the exam pattern came is similar to what was already leaked before. A lot of suspicions, and people are coming out with that. And the grace mark is such a shame. Why it is a shame? Because as much as 100 marks, 100, I got to know, as much as 100 mark difference is granted by
Oh
grace
my
mark.
God. Oh my God. Stay with us, Dhruv. We also have Rahil Sheikh, CEO of neetprep.com, also joining us. Rahil, 100 marks for normalization, for wastage of time. That's obnoxious, isn't it?
Right. The thing is that we haven't received confirmation for how much normalization has happened. So I will refrain from making any speculative remarks. What is clear is that for 8 people, there has been normalization. Or rather, we still can't say that for sure, but it seems like there has been normalization because they are from the same center. 6 of them have gotten 720 and 2 of them have gotten 718 and 19. We don't know how for how many students that has happened, and there's a chance that the increase in marks across the board has happened because of that. But it's also possible that some of that can be contributed to the fact that the syllabus has reduced this year. So at this stage, I would refrain from being speculative here.
Fair enough. But Rahil, if I would ask a simple pointed question, look at the results for NEET 2024 that they don't make sense whatsoever. 67 people getting a perfect score. So many sequence numbers, roll numbers bunched together in one examination center. And then, of course, the question of these grace marks. There are too many things that seem to have gone wrong with the NEET 2024 exams, and the fact that the results were declared so early.
Right,
Rahil.
so I'll take a little bit of time for this very briefly. I have a lot of respect for the NTA because it's a massive undertaking organizing this exam across such a large country. However, I am only concerned about these 8 students. For the rest of the students, I'm not very concerned, and I'll tell you the reason why as well. 4 of our students have scored 720 marks this year. These are the students that we have been in touch with for the whole year. They have been writing exams constantly, not just one test, multiple tests. They've been scoring 705, 710, 715. So, and they're not really good. So, and we know these are our students. We know that these guys have not cheated for certain because they have been consistently doing well. So, I'll be very careful about casting aspersions about people who have been consistently doing well. But I would love if NTA would be kind enough to provide explanation for how this happened, how this normalization happened, what is the formula which is used, and is that actually appropriate, because of which 8 people from the same center have been in the list of top 69 students.
Right, Rahil, stay with us. We are conducting a live poll here on News 9 Live online, and we're asking the question, is NEET 2024 a scam? And guess what the results are? There you go on your screens. 97% have answered as yes, NEET 2024 is a scam. That is the latest poll results. 350 voters are voting. So if you're watching this broadcast, make sure you also go and vote and express yourself, express your opinion. We're asking the question, what has gone wrong this time around? We have also Advocate Anubha Srivastav Sahai, educationalist and President, India-wide Parent Association, also still with us on the broadcast. Anubha, clearly the number of complaints that have come in from students, the number of cases, the FIRs that have been filed already, this is also unprecedented when it comes to a NEET 2024 exam. There have been questions raised, controversies on NEET exam, but not to the levels that have taken place with NEET 2024 specifically, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. See, this year, I would say a lot of scams have happened not only in Neet as well as in JE also. Many students, several students have been complaining. JE students also they have been complaining, and NTA has sent their teams also across many centers. I will not deny. Even I see, and as far as NTA is concerned, they have really helped us. Whenever we have approached NTA for any issue regarding during exam, for any admit card issue, for any other issue, even till late night, one day before exam, till 12 p.m. or even 11:30 p.m., 1 a.m. in night, they have helped us, no doubt, and many students. But as far as the examinations are concerned, there is a big question mark. Whenever any exam happens, there is scams which are happening, and students have been arrested. Many people have been arrested this year, even last year also. So this raises a question mark as far as the transparency in examination and as also in assessment and result declaration is concerned. So this year, last year, I don't remember that any such thing happened or even before as far as the results are concerned. But this year, definitely there is a big question mark as far as the results are concerned, because same students from one center, they have scored almost similar marks.
Right.
This is something which has never happened in our country. So, and we are deciding the future of our doctors. So
Yeah.
this is a very serious issue that the NTA should definitely take cognizance. As ma'am has also said that NTA has been doing wonderful job, no doubt. I'm always praising NT every time, but whenever there is a scam happening, whenever there is any problem in terms of result declaration, we always raise voice. So this time also NTA should clarify, should investigate properly and be transparent as far as the results and on a normalization process, or whichever way they have declared the result, they should come out clean, and this calls for an investigation.
Yes, the investigation is going to be required. Let's now try to understand what exactly is that normalization all about. Karthik, talk to us. How exactly has this normalization been applied there this time around?
So, Krishna, this normalization was actually directed by, in fact, this was approved by the Supreme Court in 2018 for the Common Law Admission Test, CL80, and that formula seems to have been applied this time around also. I've tried to draw it up in two scenarios, and let me take you through both of them. Incidentally, you will see that in both the scenarios, you will find that the final score that a candidate gets is exactly the same. Look at student A. Student A has given a regular exam. The exam is 200 minutes, that is about 12,000 seconds. There are 180 questions.
Right.
For the sake of assumption, student A has attempted all 180 questions. This means on an average, the student is spending about 66 seconds or just a little over a minute to answer each question. For the sake of hypothesis, we've taken that he has got only 2 answers wrong or she has got only 2 answers wrong. What is the total score for this student? It is 178 into 4 marks per correct answer minus 2 into 1 mark for every wrong answer. Simple, 710 out of 720. Fabulous score. Right, let's move on to student B. And in the case of student B, we seem to have a delay, and this delay is coming on account of, let's say, 20 minutes, hypothetically speaking. Now, for the same 200-minute exam, which is 12,000 seconds, student B has lost 1,200 seconds because of the 20-minute delay, has got 10,800 seconds. In this time frame, the student has been able to attempt at the same efficiency rate only 162 questions. Now, what I've done is, this student has also got 2 questions wrong, but mind you, Krishna, and I'll come back to this, these 2 questions are wrong out of 160 questions attempted. In the case of student A, it was out of 180 questions attempted, right? This student definitely seems to be at least on the correct answers below par, on the wrong answers at par with student A. What is this student's actual score? Actual score is only 638 using the same calculation. See how grace marks come into being, and this is where the situation becomes murky. Now, there is something called the answering efficiency, which I told you 66.6 seconds. Now, for the student who has been delayed and there are grace marks being assigned, there is an assumption that with the same efficiency rate, in the lost 1200 seconds, this student could have answered another 18 questions. But remember, out of 160 questions, he's got 2 wrong, right? But this student could have hypothetically scored or answered at least another 18 questions.
Right.
This student's strike rate is as high as 98.7. Now, when you extrapolate that, his miss rate becomes 1.23%. See where this score lands him up. Now, these grace marks kick in immediately once you assign this student's strike rate. This student's strike rate now comes on to a very, very significant, statistically correct but mathematically inaccurate conclusion. Statistically correct means that at 98.7% efficiency rate or strike rate, this student is likely to get 17.76 answers correct. Round that off, that is 18 answers correct. But at a loss rate of 1.23%, this student will get only 0.22, which is rounded off to absolutely no wrong answer, which means this student's gross adjusted score plus the total actual score amounts to the old number of 638 plus what he gets as 72 marks as grace marks, amounting to the same as student 1, who actually did answer 180 questions and did get only 2 wrong. We are extrapolating that data and saying that this student, while he answered 2 incorrect questions out of 160, we are assuming that the balance 20 questions that he may have attempted would have been right. How do you justify this? Both the students end up with the same score, which is 710.
That's right, Dr. Dhruv Chauhan. We've just broken this down, for student, and we're also trying to understand the fact that how was this math applied, and also bear in mind the judgment that the NTA, the National Testing Agency, is talking about was for the law exam. How did they use the same metric to decide upon grace marks for the Neet exam? That's a big question. Sushma Yadav, Vice Chancellor, Central University of Haryana and former member of UGC, help us understand this. This grace marks conundrum seems to have been a big problem this time around. Can you please?
Although,
please go ahead.
yeah.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So it seems to be apparently, as you say, although grace marks came to be, some formula when there was something wrong happening. Here, the time lapse which comes up and the kind of calculation that you've shown us do not seem to be very scientific, and usually NTA doesn't opt for this. I've been part of the process and I've seen them working. They don't opt for this. So surely there's something more than what meets the eye, but I can't at the moment say that, what's fishy. And I won't jump to a conclusion that it is a scam. The youngsters are reacting, and their reaction may be very fair because they are agitated, because they are feeling bad about it. So they say it's a scam. I don't say it's a scam, but surely something wrong has happened.
Ma'am, but 67 students
Yeah,
on account of
wrong
grace marks, only on account of grace marks, 44 plus 23 getting top score, and 8 belong to the same examination center. There is obviously a lot more than what meets the eye.
Exactly, it is. I completely agree with you. And Mr. Aryan, I would say yes, there needs to be a very, very comprehensive inquiry. And of course, because NTA becomes the largest testing agency and the only testing agency which we were relying upon till now. And if it happens there, then the trust of the people, trust of the organizations, trust of the institutions also becomes, very, very frail, or becomes really problematic.
What about the student?
Right, absolutely. Stay with us. We're going to also, you're talking about the youngsters reacting. We have more than 1,200 people who have voted on the News 9 Live poll. And when the question was asked, is Neet 2024 a scam? Look at the results. This is over 1,200 voters. And yet, 97% have answered yes, Neet 2024 is a scam. All those watching this broadcast, make sure you log on to News 9 Live and answer that poll question. I'm going to take this back to Rahil Sheikh, CEO of neetprep.com. Rahil, clearly there's anger flowing over when it comes to results of Neet 2024 and this entire grace marks issue. How and what basis did they apply this grace marks math is a big, big question mark, Rahil.
I'd like to address the students who might be watching your show. I know it's very difficult, and I know that this exam, it might seem like the Neet 2025 exam is far, but the apprehension, the concern around uncertainty around the exam might be making it difficult for the students. What I would like to say is keep calm, stay focused, and hopefully there will be clarification about the exam. We do want talented young people to apply for this exam so that we get the best doctors who can serve this nation. It's imperative that we get the right answers so that the students can have the faith, the peace of mind. That
Rahil, there's a bigger problem here. Neet is not any other exam. Neet is an exam which gets students to become doctors. Neet is an exam where qualifiers become doctors eventually and treat patients. How can there be any lapse for such a prestigious exam where at the end of the day there is a knife and there is a pair of scissors given to the hand of somebody, and that somebody can cut someone open, and it's a question of life and death at the end of the day?
Cannot agree more. 100% agree with you. Therefore, it is imperative that there should be transparency in how the grace marks have been provided. What has been the NTA's formula, what has been the actual score, and what has been the normalized score. We need all that clarity so that the students who are preparing for the next year's exam, I'm sure there will be some clarification for this year's exam, but for the next year's exam and for the subsequent exam, students have clarity and the peace of mind so that they can prepare hard and make sure that all their attention is focused on preparing for the exam instead of worrying about fairness, unfairness, cheating, paper leak, etc. in the exam.
So Rahul, for all the students who are watching this broadcast, is retest a possibility? And if so, tell us, what is the impact going to be on students who've already achieved good marks here and they may be subjected to a retest? What happens to them then?
I'll be very careful. I'll refrain from speculating about retest, reconducting of test. To all the students who are preparing for next year, I'll just say that stay focused and continue preparing as you would in case there were no, I know it's a hard ask, but please make sure that you try to stay away from all this drama which is going around this, and make sure that you study hard, you continue working hard, and we're with you. We're trying to ensure that NTA provides us the explanations and the justification for why this has happened, so that we have clarity for the next year, so that the hardworking students, the meritorious students are able to make a place into the prestigious medical colleges.
Right. The NTA did put out a tweet, and that tweet really confounded all the questions that were already being asked of NEET 2024 exam. We also have Dr. Chinmay Gowda, educationist and activist, also joining us on this broadcast. Dr. Chinmay Gowda, look at what is going on with NEET 2024 and look at the explanation given by NTA, the National Testing Agency. Absolutely not convincing.
First of all, thank you for raising this own question, and I must say straight that it's all a part of dictatorship where education has been privatized, and one particular body is ruining the lives of thousands of students. The exam has just become an eye-washing exercise by NTA in recent years. I must say, I don't know about how it was previously, but in recent years, it's just an eye-washing exercise. And there is one set of people who have dreamt their whole life to get into the Apex Institute like AIMS. And then here comes another set of people who is just dodging into the system and taking the lion's share. You just imagine who has dreamt their whole life to get into this institution and just landing in a decent mark, but just because of this normalization and whatsoever, getting 100 percentile and grabbing their chances. And if there was normalization, as NTA is claiming, why didn't it clarify it before the question was raised? Why it has to wait when someone has to go to court or someone has to come and fight for it? If that was something normal thing to do, I don't think so.
Ms. Gowda, is normalization a bigger problem right now, or the fact that 8 students with similar roll numbers potentially appearing in the same examination center all end up with top marks? What is a bigger challenge right now? I don't think normalization is that big a deal that can be justified statistically, mathematically, legally. But what about this very, very thick coincidence where 8 students with very similar roll numbers end up with top marks?
Because that leads us to the question, where all have the question papers been leaked? That's the simple, straightforward question.
Unless there is a breach in ethics by this exam conducting body where there is a question paper leak or there is a malpractice in the exam, that it can't be a mere coincidence where same center students get 100 percentile marks.
Right.
This has to be fought.
This has to be fought, and we are fighting for it right here on News 9 Live. That's what I asked in the question, Ms. Gowda. Is NEET 2024 a scam? Let's take a look at those poll results again. More and more people logging on to News 9 Live online and answering that poll question, is NEET 2024 a scam? Now we have more than 2,000 voters, more than 2,200 voters. Look at the answers over there. 97% answering yes, NEET 2024 is a scam. Just 3% saying no. That number remaining steady. Whoever is logging on at this stage is saying that yes, NEET 2024 is a scam. All those watching this broadcast, continue to express yourself and log on and answer the poll question. Dr. Dr. Chinmay Gowda, at this stage, we're asking this question simply because NEET 2024 has been problematic from what we know, not just this year, but over the past many years. But this time around, the other big issue is the fact that the results were declared a good 10 days early. A good 10 days early. What was the need for it?
Yeah, that's what I want to say. It is all a part of dictatorship where focus will be on the election campaign and election results, and this they thought will be neglected or they can just pass through.
All right, stay with us. We're asking as many questions as possible because we have students. I mean, imagine Karthik, the students who are watching this, those aspirants who took the NEET 2024 exam, the amount of preparation that one has to go through before taking these exams, and then the nerve-wracking experience of having to sit for these exams and complete them and hope for that one day when results come out so that you can plan your course for the future to become a doctor, because the life of a doctor begins after the NEET exam. It's after going through 5 years of MBBS and then choosing the specialization. And even before they can take that first step to go ahead to become the doctor, they have been made to stumble by faulty testing, Karthik.
Absolutely. And look at the kind of comments that we are getting on our YouTube stream live right now, Krishna. Re-NEET, retest is something that students are calling out for. Remove normalization is what students are calling out for. Students are in fact also going ahead and saying that remove NTA. They don't want NTA. But the question really is, if not NTA, then who? If not a national centralized testing center, we as a country cannot afford to go back to institute by institute and examine and university by university examinations, because that is going to take a much bigger toll, and the number of exams that students will have to take up and appear for will just increase manifold. So India does need a common test. India definitely needs a national centralized test for all examinations. But the point is, there needs to be transparency, there needs to be balance, there needs to be fairness. And that is something which seems to be absent and absolutely missing from what we are seeing right now. So, multiple controversies, multiple theories right now. Number one, many students out there calling it a scam. Multiple students asking for removal of this normalization grace marks, and multiple students also saying that there needs to be an alternative to the National Testing Agency. But the question really is, how and when will that get implemented, if at all? And number two, those who have already given the exam this year, what happens next year is next year. What has happened in the past is in the past. But the results which have just come out, and for students who have appeared this time, what happens to them? What happens to their future? What happens to the future of India, where we are happy to give knives and scissors in hands of people who possibly fudged their examination and got grace marks and hence became doctors?
Advocate Anubha Srivastava, educationist and president, India-wide Parent Association. The question I'm asking is that, you've been talking about how parents and students have been, messaging you on WhatsApp consistently. How many of them are asking for a retest? How many of them are saying that this test was a sham, this test has to be taken all over again?
See, I don't know whether the test will be again reconducted or not, but a solution which can be like the NTA can, what they can do is, see, as far as the scores are concerned, I would tell you that for 1 marks, there are almost 1,000 to 1,500 students. Their future depends upon 1 marks. So this is 720 marks, and suppose a student from that particular center who has been given this grace marks because of whatever has happened in that center, because of time lapse or whatever reason was there, because of that was the failure of the authorities, not of the students. So because of that, those students suffer, and they have been given grace marks.
Normalization
Now those students,
statistics.
let me
Ma'am, grace marks normalization statistics is still at some level perhaps statistically acceptable, but students with similar roll numbers getting top marks, students appearing in the same center, there's obviously foul play, isn't it?
Absolutely, that is something unacceptable. A government and NTA should admit it. I would request the authorities that at least those students who have scored similar marks in same center, they should be they should properly recheck their answer sheets, and again retest. If possible, they can conduct retest of those few students instead of putting them in this normalization process and disturbing the whole result. Because I told you, for one particular number, there are more than 1,000 and 1,500 students who suffer. So there are hardly 50,000 seats in government school. government colleges,
Yes.
medical government colleges, there are hardly 50,000 seats which are there. And out of those 50,000, also 50% is for reserve category, 50% is for general category. So many students will not get seats in government colleges who have scored well this year. So government should, at least NTA should intervene, and they should again relook into this matter which is being raised by several students. And as far as those students who are concerned, those who have been given grace marks, they should either be, their results should be declared separately. They should not be clubbed with the results which have been declared for all the 24 or 1 lakh students who have qualified. If there are hardly 100 or 50, or we don't know the exact numbers.
Okay.
Suppose there are 50 students who have been given grace marks, their results should be declared separately, and they should be given seats, extra seats should be kept for those students, so that
Okay.
other students who have got good marks, they will not suffer. So
Okay.
this way, this issue can be resolved.
Okay, okay. Rahel Sheikh, that's a
Total
possibility,
confidence.
isn't it? You don't have to target the entire result, but those, those sequences which came together, students from bunched together, toppers from one particular exam center, they can be made to take the retest.
I'm not sure about the retest possibility, but what was the solution which was raised sounds like a reasonable solution, that the students who have been impacted by normalization are treated separately as compared to the students who have had a very normal exam. I think that sounds like a very good solution.
Okay, okay. Chinmay Gowda, that sounds like a fair solution, considering the situation where what we are in right now.
Yes, yes, and also being a doctor, I want to tell another thing, that if these students, like those who are entering into the system by breaching the ethics, I don't know, God alone knows what they follow after becoming a doctor, because medical ethics should be followed, and I don't think these people will be eligible to do so. So we don't know what's going to happen.
Right, Chinmay Gowda, the education activist, and our poll is still open. Now more than 4,000 people have logged on to our live stream and have answered our poll question. Is NEET 2024 a scam? Guess what those poll results are on your screens. 96% of over 4,000 voters saying yes, NEET 2024 is indeed a scam. That's the public mood. That's the sentiment of all the students and the people watching this broadcast. That's a telltale sign, isn't it, Karthik? There has something so deeply rotten this time around when it comes to the 2024 results, that there is just, it's not even close. We've been on 97%, 96% calling it a scam, Karthik.
Absolutely, Krishna. And the point is, yes, okay, admitted, perhaps it is a scam. Then what? What happens from here is a bigger question. What happens to the students who have appeared this time around? And that's a big number. 24 lakh students have appeared for the NEET 2024 exam. What happens to them? What happens to their future? And in the case, in the low probability event of retest only for a select few students who seem to have benefited either from the grace mark normalization or the fact that they were lucky that they were in a center where the examination paper allegedly got leaked. The point really is, if you cannot only retest a certain batch of students, will all other students be again subjected to a very difficult, grueling 200-minute test which requires months and years of preparation? What happens to those students?
What happens to those students? We are going to be asking that question again and again right here on News 911. Asking that question here for the sake of all our aspiring doctors in this country, young aspiring doctors in this country, those who are making all their efforts to take the NEET exam. I'm afraid that we've completely run out of time here on this, but we will continue tracking the story and continue asking questions. For now, thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.